For the Southern California Prep Insider, I'm Keith Mulder here for another edition of the Best of the Rest segment. We are here from Lincoln High School, the site of Kenny Washington Field. First time I've actually been here, folks, believe it or not, and you guys have to try it. Check it out. We got L.A., the whole skyline in the background. We got some Pee Wee football going on below us. It's a great edition of the Best of the Rest, and we have a bunch of action to get to this week. Firstly, let's start it off with Lincoln. We got to talk about them. They have 2 straight wins over Van Nuys as well as North Hollywood. They got a big game this week against Bernstein, and then they play Franklin the week after. So watch out for this Tiger squad because they could be coming up in that Northern League. Watch out for Lincoln. With that said, though, this is the best of the rest. So we got to take all the city section into account. 8-man, D3, D2. Let's first start it out with the 8-man division. Let's get to some scoring updates. There was a couple blowouts for and against. It's the same thing every week, it seems, folks, that there's blowouts for the city section, then blowouts against the city section. And this week was really no different from that. Lighthouse Christian with a 40-6 victory over Discovery. Hesperia Christian blew out NVMI 64-0. This season, NVMI has allowed 190 points in just 3 games, so they're looking to add some defensive acumen come these next few weeks. Faith Baptist with yet another blowout, 68-24 over Sherman Oaks CES. They've had some trouble as well in the defensive department. And then Animo Robinson, talk about blowouts, 84-6 over Teach Tech Charter. So Animo Robinson, we previewed them last week. They're looking to come and take it all in the 8-man. Look out for them in the playoffs. They look absolutely dangerous. Sage Hill with a blowout 51-0 victory over East Valley. And then Milliken won 24-6 over Fulton. The game that I went to last Friday, check out the highlights on YouTube if you already haven't, was a Sun Valley New Designs University Park game. And that game, interestingly enough, we'll get to it a little bit later, but I thought that New Designs University Park, considering they were already undefeated, was going to blow out Sun Valley. Not exactly what happened. 16-14 was the final in that one. We'll get to that in just a bit. Moving on to D3. There's a lot of games, as usual, overlapping between D3 and D2. So some scores to note from both divisions. Emmanuel Arts, 40-7 over North Hollywood. Santee blanking Torres, 35-0. Just want to shout out the Torres running back, Eddie Torres, among tops in the section in rushing yards per carry, 330 yards and 3 touchdowns for him. And then Santee right now, they are 3-1 among tops in D3. One of the best scoring differentials in that division. 119 points scored, just 34 allowed, so they can do it on both sides of the ball. Locke with a 37-7 victory over Legacy. Franklin 28-20 over Marquez. And then Belmont with a 37-0 drubbing of West Adams. We've seen West Adams. They've had some trouble securing wins this year. They've got the talent. It'll maybe take a couple years for them to really become promising, but be patient with West Adams. They have a lot of really underrated players on that squad. Arleta blowing out Marshall 58-28. The Barristers looking a little weak in the past couple weeks, moving up to D2 as we mentioned. So maybe that them moving up has kind of hurt their chances a little bit in terms of playoffs, but still a long season, a lot of games left to play. Roosevelt squeaks out a 26-25 win over Inglewood, 495 yards on the ground for the Rough Riders, 4 touchdowns rushing. Santos Rivera with 3 of them, also added 199 yards to boot. That whole rushing offense from Roosevelt is unbelievable. Got to check them out this year. And then Simi Valley, no surprise, 63-0 over Taft. This season, Taft, they've allowed 238 points in just 4 games. Their offense, nothing. They have yet to score a single point in this season. Keep your heads up, Taft. I know that you're mainly known as being a basketball school, but I believe you guys will score a touchdown in one of these upcoming weeks. Just keep your head up. Granada Hills, speaking of those Valley squads, a huge win, 57-18 win over Kennedy. And then Heritage Christian, 50-7 over Dugo Hills. A game that I watched last week that was kind of out of my realm, so to speak, was that Garfield-Crenshaw game at Garfield. That was a blowout win, 26-0 Garfield over Crenshaw. Too many turnovers to even count, folks. There was 2 pick sixes, multiple touchdowns for Garfield on the ground. It was unbelievable. Crenshaw, their offense clearly needs some retooling, something that we haven't seen from Crenshaw in quite a while. So Garfield's looking really good right now in the top 10, and I'm sure Alex and Connor will give you the reason why they are ranked where they are, number 6, I believe. So Some people may disagree with them. P.J. Garcia certainly has a case to be one of the best rushers in the city section right now. There's a lot of, as I mentioned, a lot of games left to be played, so who knows, maybe Garfield will slip, or maybe they'll keep on winning and maybe have their way in a city section playoff berth. Who knows? Either way, some players of the week that I wanted to shout out. As I mentioned, P.J. Garcia right now, 709 yards and 6 touchdowns this season, tops in the section, and then his fellow Garfield teammate, Anthony Ruvalcaba, has 9 sacks on the year, along with 26 total tackles. So Ruvalcaba, he is unstoppable on that D-line. 9 sacks in only 4 games. Unbelievable performances from those Bulldogs. And then another player I wanted to shout out from Franklin, who's been helping Alfred Bobadilla have the amazing season he has had this year. That's wideout Daniel Phillips, who, if Max Preps is correct, sometimes they may fudge the numbers. If they are correct, though, he caught 19 passes for 289 yards and multiple TDs in that win over Marquez last week. So right now, this offense from Franklin is working to perfection. Bobadilla and Phillips, that's the connection that's been working all year long. So with that said, our players of the week are out of the way. Now let's get to some games to watch. Desert Christian at Sun Valley. Desert Christian, 2 wins on the year, 69-22 over Fraser Mountain, and then a 46-8 win over Lone Pine this past week. They're coming out of Lancaster to play Sun Valley, so that should be a good one. And then Animo Robinson at Chadwick this Friday. Chadwick already with 2 wins on the year. 1 over fellow 8-man team, Sherman Oaks CES. That was a 50-8 blanking right there. Rather not blanking, but, kind of destruction of sorts, really. Sherman Oaks, it's funny because, they were in the City Section Championship last year with Animo Robinson. They competed pretty closely, and this year they've been blown out a couple times. You got to wonder, maybe those seniors are really being missed this year in Sherman Oaks. As I said, though, City Section play coming up soon. These non-conference games, just like Narbonne in the Open Division. Narbonne 1-3 at the moment. It's not really indicative of their talent level because they're playing these harder Southern Section teams. So once they get into the City Section, then we'll see who's a contender and who's a pretender. Moving on, though, a game a little bit out of our realm, but Reseda versus Canoga Park. 2 4-0 squads with high-powered offenses. Reseda with a 41-0 win over Huntington Park last week, but Canoga Park with wins, all the same. They've had great offense, good defense. Lesser competition, though, from Canoga Park, but who knows who can win this one. Canoga has as good of a chance as any to beat Reseda, or Reseda could go undefeated through 5. Who knows? The Regions have looked very good defensively. And then the final game I'd just like to shout out, Heritage Christian taking on Granada Hills. Both teams with huge wins. Right now, Heritage Christian with a lot of wins over City Section teams. They are 4-0 on the year. Granada Hills is just 1-3, but Granada Hills coming off that big win over Kennedy. 2 50-point wins for both squads. Who will pull out the W? We'll make sure to have that on next week's podcast. But with all that said, we'd just like to talk about this past week's game. Sun Valley taking on New Designs University Park. And University Park, they were undefeated going into last week. And going into the game, I said it on last week's podcast, I said how I'm expecting the Cardinals to do big things. I'm expecting a lot of offense. Sun Valley hadn't won a game until that point, and then something magical happened, to say the least. They were up. New Designs University Park was up 14-0 at the half. And at that point, it seemed like it was just going to be all Cardinals in the second half, but then the Wildcats came out in the second half and surprised everybody. They had so many turnovers. I believe it was 3 fumbles and a pick in the second half. Unbelievable. They came back 16 points unanswered. They had a last-minute touchdown run, a last-minute interception to seal the game, an upset win for the Wildcats over the Cardinals. So it was interesting because the Wildcats actually had a chance to punch it in at the end of the half, and then there was a goal line stand by the Cardinals, and you thought, well, defensively, the Cardinals look pretty good right now. There's no way that the Wildcats could come back in this game, but Sun Valley proved me and the rest of the fans wrong. They came back 16 unanswered points. It was an unbelievable performance from that Wildcat squad, coming in, defeating a team like University Park, already undefeated on the year, and they win 16-14 in dramatic fashion. I spoke with their head coach, Matthew Little, after the game about how his team pulled off the impossible. For the Southern California Prep Insider, I'm Keith DeMolder here from Sun Valley High School. A huge win for the Wildcats, 16-14 over New Designs University Park. I'm here with Coach Matt Little. Coach, huge win today. Just give me some initial impressions.
It was great. First half we had a 0 on the scoreboard. It was the small things, missed blocks, missed tackles. We just told them, hey, look, you got to do your job, shut them down because we're there. It's just small things. Pick them up, and they came out ready to play some football. We kicked it off. It was 3 and out. We got the ball back, and it just went our way after that.
In the second half, there was a lot of turnovers, and then those turnovers were turned into points by your offense. How proud are you of your defense in the second half?
Oh, wonderful. I mean, I have no words because they made me – I knew they can do it, but knowing they can do it and seeing them do it, it makes me proud because they fought. They fought for every yard that they took, and it made me proud.
Final touchdown. Take me through that drive. What were you thinking?
I'm thinking we have no timeouts left. We're right there. We just need to inch it in. We just need a couple more yards, and we knew what play would work. Ran it. They did their job. Everyone did their job across the board. Touchdown. And we tell the kids, we know what we're doing, coaches. We know what we're doing, and if you do what you're doing, you listen to us, and you get the job done, it'll work. We promise you. And I had kids come after me, hey, I did what you told me to do, and it worked. And I'm like, that's what we're here for. And a sideline, jumping, screaming, that was wonderful.
So now you're 1-2 on the year. You move into next week. You're saying you're playing a tough Desert Christian team.
Yes.
What are you looking forward to improve on come next week?
Definitely the missed blocks, some mistakes on the line. We're still standing up. I saw all those little mistakes get magnified against a school like Desert Christian. So, it's just polishing what we got. Because we know what works and we know what doesn't. And we just got to polish that out. And we'll really see how it runs against Desert Christian because they're going to be a good school. They're going to test us for what we're worth.
Sun Valley with a huge win, 16-14. This is Coach Matt. I'm Keith Mulder for the Southern California Prep Insider. Let's send it back to the podcast. And we thank head coach Little for that interview. And we thank you for watching the Best of the Rest podcast here from Lincoln High School. The Lincoln Tigers 2-2 on the year, looking for some more wins, though, for all of us here at the Southern California Prep Insider. I'm Keith Mulder saying so long. Thank you so much for watching. Check out all of our highlights on YouTube. Keep us updated on Twitter with all of your thoughts about the top 10, with all your thoughts about this podcast, by the way, and anywhere we should go next week. Keep it right here. Keep it on YouTube. Keep it for the Best of the Rest. I'm Keith Mulder saying so long. Take it easy, and we'll see you next week.